In patch 7.15, we have some really good news for people who want to play multiple roles or multiple jobs. The chaotic raid is going to absolutely change how we obtain gear, or at least I think it will. In the live letter, they detailed that the weekly limit on rewards for the Cloud of Darkness chaotic will have no limit. This is huge because we have 21 jobs as of Dawn Trail. To me, this is insane that we have any type of lockouts on Savage, the 24-man, or even the Tombstone weekly cap for jobs. It's absolutely ridiculous that players cannot be versatile and go and try to get multiple pieces of gear to kind of like push themselves and learn multiple roles. It's obviously entirely possible to do it with crafted gear for a lot of these pieces of content, and it's completely unnecessary to have this, but I think it makes people really apprehensive to even start playing a job when it's not geared compared to some of their other jobs. And just having that little bit of a boost when it comes to the gear might make people less apprehensive to even try another job out. I've never really understood why they keep doing this, where it's like, oh, well, you can't obtain one lockout's worth of gear, or you're locked out from getting gear, and then let's punish everyone else you want to go with. You want to go and help someone? Well, you're punishing them when it comes to gear. The only thing that's ever kind of made sense to me when it comes to this is they have a utmost care for like the world first race, and I would argue that the people that are going to do world first are going to kill something without having to do that. And I'm not saying that world first people won't go back and like refarm gear if it was like beneficial, but a lot of them already do this because they have multiple alts and stuff like this where they'll like pass gear to like one specific character and they have like a bunch of alts to like do so. A lot of recent raids haven't really required this. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that's had like a really hard stop is P8S, because it was overtuned, or well, that's SE's reasoning. A lot of people have said that it's because of the job balance at the time, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, but that might have been a case where people would go back and farm a lot more to get more gear and use alts to do so. But in all reality, though, the people who are going to do world first are going to be available to do that anyways, just so that they can boost themselves if necessary. That's really, in my mind, the only reason to have a lockout, outside of, I guess Square Enix might be like, well, if people can just spam it, they're going to get done and get capped on their jobs, so then they'll quit playing the game anytime sooner. I would bet that if you let people do that, a lot of people might get sick of doing multiple runs of the same fight per week, or maybe even they want to do like 2 fights per week and stuff like that. I don't see them going crazy and fully capping out every single one of their jobs. And you know what? There are probably people out there that just want to get gear for one role or one job, but a lot of people nowadays, I feel like, do play multiple jobs if possible, but it's a struggle because the second you switch to another job, you immediately debuff yourself in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, you can get by uncrafted, and a lot of people probably do so to help others if they need to play another role, but it's still a hindrance, and there's even a hindrance in just like even helping people. I'd say that's a massive frustration, at least for me, even because I don't like the fact that I'm at a disadvantage of going in and joining parties maybe more than once if I want to redo a fight. I don't have to deal with that when it comes to something like extreme modes where I'm like farming a mount. It's not all of a sudden like, oh, it's preventing me from doing it. I know mount's quite a bit different than item level gear, but it almost feels like it's something that's either carried over from World of Warcraft, and because it's like, oh, that's the rule as when it comes to MMOs. Oh, we have a subscription-based game, we got to put the cap on there. I actually think a lot more people would be willing to play much longer, or even like play the content more. And it could definitely lead to like people getting sick of it. But I think there's a balance that they're not really understanding when it comes to how much people actually want to play the game. Because 1, 2, or 3 times on one fight, people are like, oh yeah, I'm bored for this week. Let's come back and do it later. Or they'll come back and do it like a later time of the week. You can't even do that right now. The other thing is, a lot of the people that want to like get into, I know that they're the bad word, parsing. I think a lot of people that really want to push that and optimize what they're doing when it comes to gameplay do not have the ability to do that right now, because they have to wait until sometimes almost week 8 because they have to like wait on tomestones. I don't see like the competitive integrity of the world first being harmed by any of this either. The world races a lot of times for Savage is completed in a day. It doesn't really make sense to me why that would even be a factor. So the only last thing is to slow people down in how they obtain gear. But I don't realistically see in a one night people clearing multiple times. A lot of people clear in PF, and even if you clear in PF, it sometimes is a struggle, and it will take an hour to clear one fight. I know that's not for everyone, and people will be like, well, oh, that's bad. It shouldn't have that happen. But it does happen, especially if you're doing it in PF, because you don't know who you're getting. I feel like SC is putting a hindrance and making it a chore for people to want to, one, help people engage with other roles or engage with just another job. Because yeah, you might be able to like play like, samurai and monk, and the only thing missing there at that point would be, well, quote unquote best in slot potentially. I don't know the exact stats on there. I'm just using an example. And then you're missing a weapon. That's not a huge difference because both of them use striking gear. But say I'm a samurai and I want to play Reaper, you can't really interchange anything there outside of like your accessories. Or even like the latest job is Viper, it uses dexterity, and you can't take advantage of that if you were a dragoon or you were a monk or you were even if you were a caster. Like it just puts you in a massive disadvantage, and it makes you question like, how do I have a chance at like doing even close to what I normally do? Obviously, like I said, again, crafted is an option, but I do think that is a bit frustrating for people. I guess I wanted to say the massive big thing that is coming with the chaotic is there's no weekly limit on the rewards, and the items are 730. That's huge, and I think it's going to be a huge game changer, and I think that needs to be massively praised when it comes to Square Enix. The other thing that they have in here that is really, really big, and I think they should be praised more for, and it is game changer. The raid size is flexible on release. You can go in here with 12 people if you wanted to. Now, can you clear it with 12? I don't know. We won't know. That's gonna be a mystery at first, right? But if you can, on release, I think it'll be a huge thing to give people a challenge, just like constantly, like, how many people can I remove? What's the least amount of people? And it'll stretch, like, can we make it to that 12 mark, right? And it doesn't change your rewards, and I don't think that's going to be a big deal, but I think it makes it flexible. One, for like, what if you're missing someone for the night? That's huge, and you have like a 24-man static. I'd be shocked if that happens very frequently. I'm sure like in the initial weeks, like people figuring out there might be. I think it's gonna be more likely this thing's gonna be in PF based on the difficulty they said, and there's gonna be like PF standards. But I do think it's huge that you do not need have a standard almost group size. It's really gonna come down to how necessary is it to meet the DPS check. We'll have to see on that. But I think that's the other huge news out of it. The last thing I would say is the rewards are insane for this. The gear looks really cool, especially the stuff that looks like a Devil Trigger Diablo like outfit. I think they did a insane job with that. Like, it's really, really, really cool. The others were the panel that is basically the panels from Cloud of Darkness E9. I think the drop down effect is really, really cool. I cannot understate that enough. And they do have the regular like Cloud of Darkness like effect that you can have around you for like a flying amount, and that's cool. But I think the real panel one with the animation that makes you literally drop off of it, really cool. I'm curious if it'll work from a really high limit in the sky, or you have to be on the ground to even use it. But if you could do that from like maximum height and then you get brought down to 1, or if like somehow you're in combat, you get killed. But I think that would be pretty funny. Like I like having like a joke mount, but or not joke mount necessarily, but like a goofy mount like that, or the mount effect like that. And if you hit that, I mean, obviously that's your fault, but it's also like something you can play around with your friends and stuff. I think that's cool. So I'm really, really happy with what they're doing in the chaotic raid. It is, I think it's gonna be a huge thing for the game, and I cannot wait to see it. So did you guys like it? I don't know, drop a comment down below if you did. But yeah, I think the only thing that might be a big concern is definitely the timing on it. I know a lot of people were not happy to see that it was during Christmas, but I mean, it's gonna be there for a while. There's no lockout. You're not missing anything. I don't think it's a big deal. You guys will be fine, I'm sure. Anyhow, if you guys could, please drop a like or subscribe on the channel. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.